Conference recording started.
Hi, we're going to go ahead and start, and people can join in as they, appear online. We're talking about high performance on the raw vegan diet. Now, the raw vegan diet is always viewed with a certain amount of skepticism by mainstream America. The moment you depart from the concept of meat eaters are strong and vegetarians are weak, then you start running into conflict. So when you look at the raw vegan diet, not just as a diet, but as high performance fuel, then you're getting into a whole nother stratosphere of what the raw vegan diet is and what it can be. So it's really to me, it's exciting territory because I've been an athlete just about all of my life. And I wouldn't do a diet that wouldn't allow me to perform on a higher level than the diet I was previously doing. So what happened with me was I've been doing this diet since 1972, and I was riding probably about 40, 50 miles a day on my bicycle as a vegetarian, and then when I went raw, my energy level actually doubled, and I started doing 100, 110 miles a day. I would actually ride to other cities. I would ride from Detroit up to Ann Arbor and back, and I just never experienced any fatigue. I just had unlimited energy. But I mean, to be fair, most people in their early 20s, college students, even athletes who survive on junk food have unlimited energy. It's this the sign of the time when we're at that age that we have that type of energy. But as we get older and as we start to accumulate uneliminated waste material, it actually manifests itself as a symptom or a form of chronic fatigue. So we find that when we hit 35 and 40, our energy levels start to diminish. But this wasn't true on the raw vegan diet. When I hit 45 and 50, I still had unlimited energy, and I didn't experience the weight gain around the middle that is also pretty habitual with like people in the middle age. As they get a little older, their waistline starts to spread. But is this a biological condition, or is this brought about through poor eating habits and poor choices? And so as we go into our 50s and our 60s, that's when we really start to notice a diminish in performance on the standard American diet. And if you look at nature, I like to look at nature a lot because we don't have a lot to go on. There's not a lot of scientific journals. There's not a lot of information from the medical community on just what happens with our body as we age in relationship to different diets. I think there has been some research done on the Mediterranean diet, which was a huge diet for people living in the Mediterranean area, the Greeks. One of the things that fascinated me about the Greeks was they looked at a man in his 50s. That's when he hit his prime, not in his 20s, but in his 50s. And the Mediterranean diet had grains in it. It had lots of fruit, almonds, nuts, dates, seeds, olive oil, olives. Um, I think there was some fish. There was definitely a lot of grains. And so it was a fairly clean diet that goes all the way back into antiquity. Um, Now we're looking at a real drastic diminishment of our health. Our children aren't going to live as long as their grandparents did. as we continue this progression from the farm and rural America where we ate all whole grains and organic food to the city to be caught up in the Industrial Revolution, separated from nature, surrounded by concrete, and the lifestyle demanded, like fast processed foods. And so as we went deeper into that paradigm, our health deteriorated. We started developing a lot of what I call modern diseases. The cancer epidemic is a modern disease. Diabetes is a modern disease. I'm not saying that it didn't exist back 200 years ago, but we're looking at a huge, almost epidemic level of people being afflicted with this disease, which can be tied directly to diet and a diminished state of a diminished lifestyle, a diminished quality of life. Diabetes is connected into high blood pressure and is connected into obesity. So if we can control our weight, if we can make different food choices, it's sort of like a sliding scale or percentages, like the better we eat, the better we feel, the higher quality of life we have, and we are able to maintain a higher level of performance for a longer period of time. And anti-aging is directly tied into the level of workouts that you're able to sustain. So if you're in a situation where you can no longer work out, you're no longer pumping iron, you're no longer running, you're driving everywhere, you maybe do a 10-minute walk in the morning, but basically your whole body is into a state of atrophy, and then you're eating foods that require huge amounts of digestion for little bits of nutrients because the nutrients have been destroyed in the cooking process, then you're looking at a diminished quality of life. And the opposite end of that, of course, is the raw vegan diet, where you don't have to eat as much to get the same amount of nutrients. And so your body is able to function on a much higher, much cleaner plane than it does when it's all clogged up with indigestible processed foods that weren't really designed for you. They were designed for shelf life. They were designed to be around for 6 months or 8 months until they sold. There are foods that they can store for a year, 2 years without them going bad, but that's not necessarily for us. We do best. I think humans do best on fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. These are foods that are easy for us to digest, assimilate. They're loaded with nutrients, and this translates into a higher level of performance for a longer period of time. And if you're going to be around 70 or 80 years, you don't want to spend the last 15 years of that life, your golden years, really your golden years. You don't want to spend that in the revolving door of the medical community, having surgeries, being put on different drugs, and then being put on drugs to offset the side effects of those drugs. That's not necessarily a positive way of extending life. It seems like the thing to do is go right to the source. And the source, of course, is our colon, because that's where most disease, that's where most of the afflictions that we suffer from, modern afflictions, from arthritis to back pain to diabetes to heart condition, it all has its start in the colon. The colon is overloaded, it can't do its job, we're retaining too much waste material. And when that happens, then the whole system is slowed down. Our health and our vitality is based upon our cells being able to divide and replicate perfectly. Because when we're young, our cells divide at a faster rate than they die off, so we grow. And then when we reach middle age, our cells are dying off at the same pace that they're dividing or replicating. And so we go into middle age. And then old age is the cells are dying off faster than we regenerate them. But there's no specific chronological time that these different occurrences take place. It all depends on the individual. So by making certain choices, we can extend our middle age, we can extend being in our prime and being functional, and this is the joy of moving and the joy of exercise in life, the celebration of life. There's no timetable that says, okay, you're 50 now, so all of that is behind you. A lot of these things are choices that we make without really realizing that we have made these choices, and that's what the raw vegan diet is all about. It's all about taking control and taking charge of these different situations that are within our reach and doing it in such a way that we can extend our prime, we can slow down the aging process, and we can enjoy a higher quality of life without being caught up in the revolving door of the medical community. So in going forward with this, I have sent you an ebook. And in the ebook, there are recipes in the back. There's different sections that cover anti-aging, healing, food preparation, recipes, menus, shopping lists, everything that you need. These are the recipes that I do every day, have done for the last 20 years, and they work. They're well balanced, well thought out. I'm not saying that this is the only way to approach it. This is just one way of approaching it, but it is a way that works. So I'm going to pause right now and see if there's any questions, if anybody has any questions. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload this video to the internet, and then we'll reschedule a question and answer period. So if anybody has any questions about high performance on the raw vegan diet, I will be more than happy to talk to each person individually and answer any questions that you might have. We want to see you be able to do this diet long term. Um, it's kind of hard when you first start off. So there are some basic things that we can cover. And sometimes individual people just need a little bit of fine tuning to get on a path or on a track where they can do it successfully long term. So my email address is storm, STORM, dot Taliaferro, TALI, ERO, at gmail.com. You can email me anytime with any questions, and I will email everybody later on in the week, and we will schedule a conference call with questions and answers. All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Yeah. Nope.
Okay. Did you give out hand points?
Yeah, I did.
Good.
It's a holiday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,